Vorauseilender Gehorsam. So Vorauseilender Gehorsam, usually rendered as the sort of in advance obedience, or the flying towards obedience somehow, in advance. But I think better would be a sort of legal phrase, or quasi-legal phrase to say preemptive duty. Preemptive duty. So this idea of the Gehorsam, which is, or the duty, or the obedience or hearkening to, is in immediate proximity. It was cropped up in the 70s, basically, this specific version. The phrase itself, the Vorauseilender Gehorsam, it cropped up only in the 70s, but it links back. It's a direct conception of the difference between the liberal countries and the so-called autocratic countries. And it's one of the things, so Timothy Snyder is sort of selling this idea under other phrases, but if we juxtapose it with or we sort of explicate it by the tradition, let's put it that way, we get the Friedrich der Grosse saying, we get the saying attributed to Frederick the Great in Kant's Enlightenment essay, about the talk and argue all you want but obey, or hearken, Gehorchen. And this version is saying, the 70s version is saying, the preemptive duty means something like already in the way you think, even when you're talking to yourself, you train yourself never to think the wrong thoughts. You're preemptively hearkening to the right attitude, and then this is a kind of discipline within the horizon of saying, like, a military discipline, still existing. So, for instance, in Musil's Man Without Qualities, this takes place when such a regime still existed in Austria, up until World War One. And this kind of discipline, as it were, one is now being shown as sort of autocratic, according to Snyder, as saying, look at the party discipline in MAGA. Look at the way they simply ignore all principles, and then only it's slightly visible because I think Marjorie Taylor Greene said she wasn't a slave or something like that. So it wasn't a doormat. Maybe on some small point, it's saying she's not going to do whatever Trump says. But basically, you have much more party discipline, and then so supposedly this is the Vorauseilender hearken situation, this preemptory hearkening, setting yourself up in advance to, in a way that's only, of course, something very normal that happens in a lot of circumstances. One doesn't always say just what one thinks, but one sort of goes along with the customs and the scruples of the situation. And then that could be extended to longer periods of time in different types of structures, political, secure political structures, secure or insecure political structures. And this notion of, this is the notion of sort of the authority as against the previous condition of sort of liberality within the obedience to the law. So yeah, it's a direct difference in some kind of ethopoetic behavior is in question then. If that's true, then my question is, how much is this? It's the question. It's sort of like, is it an anomaly in the sense of there's cycles, and then you get sometimes more autocratic, less autocratic, or it's sort of like it's a permanent question, right? And then it could be always in that position, except there's a total rumbling at the level of the Brownian or the Lucretian motion, that even when it seems like stagnation is still teeming and seething beyond comprehension. So this anybody who sees it that way, I think that it sort of explains why Snyder is so thirsty for human blood, and why he raced forward to promote the war more than, I think, to promote going to the full war more than anyone. I think he already, before even 2014, was clamoring that way of constant Russophobia, and it's constant sort of clamoring to increase the military strongholds around the Eurasian rims, shatter points. And I think one can see this must be, I say this is a kind of only a kind of certain type of German mentality. And I think now there's one thing, probably it's bad evidence, but it's like sometimes you get evidence when you see that somebody's a spy, like you see them, they're walking in America, they're supposed to be an American, but then they're holding the flowers by the bottom and having the flowers upside down. That's because Americans hold the flowers from the bottom, maybe, but they have it standing up. Or like the famous one of the ordering a beer in the German restaurant and how you use the thumb or the finger, which identified some spies in World War II. But in this case, there's a mispronunciation of some words by Snyder. I noticed in his interview with Bill Kristol. But he didn't really just totally mispronounce him like a foreign language speaker, but more like he was speaking in an English accent for some reason. Like he chose the English pronunciation for whatever reason, or the British English pronunciation. But still, I'm very suspect of his whole mentality. What is it supposed to be? It seems to be German. It seems to be German in some sense, and then it seems like he represents some part of the Merz